given in
Yeah,
no
in
time.
some seconds.
Yeah. So, well, I think the game on table one will have a personal arbiter from now on after what has happened in the first round. So I could see my good friend Omar Salama from Iceland. Right,
We have
one more time.
first moves.
E4, and once again Magnus goes for this provocative system with an early knight on c6, forcing white. Okay, not forcing, but inviting white to play d5, which was played, and knight goes back to b8. Basically, giving white two tempi, right?
Yeah,
So-
knight
so it's
c6,
like-
knight b8, and then you have to come again with knight to develop your
Yeah,
pieces.
but just imagine this position. The white's pawn could have been on d2. So guess what? We don't recommend to try this at home. It's well, not exactly a correct opening, even though Magnus seemingly does very well with that. Okay, so
But he likes this setup, bishop on g7, which
yeah,
is very
d6,
open,
c6,
and then
yeah.
c6, a6, b5.
No, of course it has its logic. It's not like something really weird. It's not Richard Rapport's opening in round one of Rappin, where we were really wondering if it's not a transmission mistake. b5 is very aggressive move. So white is offered to capture on c6. Vishy has played a3. And you know what? I mean, when your opponent goes for moves such as b5 for provocations, you really have to, accept the challenge. You really have to try to punish your opponent.
Yeah.
Because if you react with moves like a3, I don't claim that it's a bad move. But the feeling is like
Your opponent gets what he wants.
yeah, you give something away. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Yeah, it's like, okay, you accept, no, I want to be on the safe side. And then in a couple of moves, the advantage has gone. In another couple of moves, it's already your opponent who has more comfortable position. On the other hand, I mean, if you put everything in the center like Vishy Anand did, I don't really see any chance for you to be worse. Well, actually what he does now, takes on c6 and goes e5, it looks like his position is very nice. d5, knight takes, and then there is also a possibility to swap the queens. Bishop takes e5, I guess. Magnus might want to just, take on d2, play rook fd8. Play rook fd8.
About Vishy, he has not lost any single games. He made draws.
He made only two draws. I mean, he dropped 1 point, essentially, so that's
I think two.
more or less. No, two.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He
No,
made
we were
four-
talking about
four
leaders. So 4 draws for Vishy out of 7 rounds. So he's very solid. What can we say? Okay, rook d1, rook to c8. It's more of a Sicilian endgame now, right? Imagine some Scheveningen or maybe a Dragon Sicilian where
Yeah.
black managed to play d5. Knight a2. Well,
White has this majority on the king side, but yet they are stopped.
c3, knight to b4. Yeah, that's something white is trying to achieve. And despite black's dark square bishop being, well, technically better than its white's counterpart, I think black should probably settle to swap the bishops. I mean, to somehow moving the knight outright here, I'm considering, like going to e4. It's not that good, right? Because
Knight e4, it will be under bishop f3 pawn.
yeah, and also, I mean, just taking and giving white access to d7 square. That's what I don't like. So that white will play rook d7. Well, take on g7, play rook d7. So what are the options? I mean, king f8 is a typical move for an endgame. The Magnus at some point had a considerable advantage on a clock, but now he tends to spend quite some time here. So it's almost equal. Or 1.5 minutes. Well, 1.5 minutes for each. Okay, let's see what he comes up with. There is still a move like knight d5, which you probably don't like because of a pin, right?
Yeah, take on g7 and then bishop f3,
bishop f3,
which can
e6,
be e6.
e6, knight to b4,
b4.
and then even a5 for black. I think that's kind of a straightforward way to make a draw if white, of course, plays bishop f3. I mean, some rook endgame pawn down. Well,
goes knight e8.
After, well, he spends a lot of time.
Maybe he
goes
wants to come knight
e8.
d6.
Yes, but
No, bishop goes
bishop
g3.
back, and now once again rook d7 is an idea. So black has to be a little careful here. Knight back to f6. Knight back to f6. So one more time in this game, Magnus gives his opponent two tempi. Bishop e5. Vishy doesn't mind to repeat the position. At least once. And then knight e4 is played. Knight e4 is played. So Magnus decides to play on. I'm just trying to understand what is going to happen in case of takes rook d7. I don't really see it. So the bishop will be attacked and so will be the e7 pawn. Rook d7. Why he was insisting so much on this knight c5?
Knight comes
well, and
a4
if rook
maybe.
takes, he wants to play rook d8. Yeah, king f6 first to drive the rook away and then rook d8.
Huh, interesting.
So he definitely is up to have some compensation. He's definitely up to have some compensation. He wants
Rook
to play.
d2 is coming right now, knight a4 is
Rook
also
d2.
possible.
But I don't really believe that white can be worse here. Well, who knows?
Look at this,
on the other hand.
this knight on a2 is out of the play. And has no
No,
nice
then
place to come.
Knight
Before and then...
Knight b4. Or... well, c4 is a possible move as well. So now rook d2. And white
C4.
apparently is planning to take on b5 in this case. I don't
What
see...
happens after...
Yeah, pawn takes. Then it's
Bishop takes?
dangerous to take with the bishop, right?
Check and
But yeah,
bishop
check, you will
f1.
have to play bishop f1. Maybe it's fine, you know. Yeah, Vishy decides for that one.
Let's see how fine it is.
But
But there's bishop d5. No, it's not.
Bishop
Not
d5 and
knight
you
c3.
are running on the knight c3. Well, also the time becomes a factor because Vishy is down to 16 seconds only. Magnus is on half a minute. Also, well, serious time deficit, I have to say. So far, don't see.
While we're looking to this board, there we have results on the second board. The leaders, Vishy, Karyakin, they made draw.
I made a draw, yeah, logical. So rook d2, rook to e2. Magnus is still a pawn down, so the trade of the rooks is not in his favor. He goes back to d1, knight to c3, rook to c1. Now it's a time to unpin this bishop. Well, but it's not that easy, right? f3 played by Vishy Anand. So what Magnus is supposed to do? I guess it's a5, yeah. Well, Vishy on seconds, like, well, isn't he too slow? Isn't he too slow? I'm afraid he's going to lose this one. I mean, simply because of being too slow.
The pawn is done.
No, he managed to increase the speed. But now knight e1, knight f4, or knight e3. The knight is actually trapped. The knight is actually trapped on e1. Don't quite understand what goes on here. h4.
If king
so if
h4,
the king takes
there's a
king g4.
there was rook
takes
e3,
e3.
and he was about to take it.
King g5, rook. No, there is no rook e3, but there is. Well, no mate, no nothing. Now rook c7 is going to happen. I mean, just look at this position.
That's
It's
crazy.
incredible what goes on here. a4. A calm move
It's
is
a
1
good
second
time
on the
to
clock.
play
Knight
a4.
g2 takes, king takes h4, and now the white king is stalemated. So white rook can become a desperado, like rook c7. He always checks, and I think they've agreed a draw. Did they?
Yeah.
As both smiling, laughing, and everything. I think it
I
was.
think they are laughing about taking on h4. He
I-
was just about to take h4 pawn.
You mean when h4 was played?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Vishy was about to blunder. Yeah, that was a crazy game. What can I say? So, a draw for Vishy and Magnus, a draw as well for the actual leaders, Vishy, Graf, and Karyakin.
That's very unusual smile of Carlsen after
Yeah.
the game.
Could you please check the other results? It's like board 3, board 4, just to see if the leaders will be caught up. Meanwhile, we are shown the ladies section, board 1, where it's still a fight between Gunina and Zagnidze. That's the position. Well, Zagnidze